So I'm sure this video actually, kind of emotes a lot of negative sense. And I can well understand if all of you feel very sad and angry about it, in fact. And definitely it's very gruesome. And this happens practically every other day in south of Bengal, in fact, especially during the paddy season, in fact. But can anyone answer me? I'm just throwing the question. Maybe we can discuss it post the session. That here in this region, where economic levels are very low, where cultivation is very low, in fact, very low yielding, and then humans are sharing spaces with such megafaunas. And in terms of just not space, sharing spaces, sharing food, uh, what do they do? What do they do? I mean, it's a very big question, in fact. So I think this whole project started when I've been asking this question to myself for too long a time, in fact, and after knowing the situation, and especially south of West Bengal, in fact, I've worked with WWF conflict management in North Bengal. But in south of West Bengal, the forest cover, etc., I will talk about it, is very sparse, in fact. And more or less, the roughly the area, the kilometers covered is 148, but maybe it is, I might be wrong because Abhishek kind of rechecked. It might be about 800 kilometers between Ajodha Hills and the population which goes till Jhargram. And the whole population basically shares its migration route with two other states, that is Orissa as well as Jharkhand. And most of the population are migratory population from the Dolma Wildlife Sanctuary in Jharkhand, in fact. But surprisingly, in last few years, many of the population have become resident in the areas of South Bengal, especially in Jhargram areas, in Bankura areas, in Purulia areas. Some of them don't do the yearly migration, in fact, to go back to Dolma. And saying that it is this map mostly is from the 2017, I think, study of WTI and MOEF on rite of passage, basically. And so sadly, it's not been updated after that. Maybe they are still working on it. But even during that time, there has not been a study only in perspective of South Bengal, in fact, because the study has been basically the 3-4 corridors that Bengal shares with the two other neighboring states, in fact. So saying that at this point, the interactions, and I showed you a small video of one of the interactions, in fact, cannot say it's a very positive one, but has not been very good, in fact. So if I may point out, if we have about 140, 150 total population, then 50 or 60, as I say, keep coming and going back in their migration routes. Interestingly, most of their migration routes, as we have seen and studied, are very largely degraded. It's part of the Chotanagpur plateau region, and it's very arid. It's dry, arid, and it has got laterite soil. So there is hardly any forest covers. I'll show you some drone footage which we kind of studied, in fact. And of course, there's not much of fodder left for the elephants. But I also have to pitch in to say that, not having fodder is not the only reason that, negative interactions happen. Elephants also are opportunist feeders, where they come for the paddy and the potatoes, which are high carb rich crops, in fact. And that's where the real conflict, which I showed you, starts, in fact. So, but in comparison, as I was telling you, in North Bengal, the forest cover is much higher, in fact, in respect to South Bengal. And South Bengal elephants have huge anthropogenic pressures. They are very stressed out in most of the time when they are passing between two small forest patches of land. And when I say patches, you won't believe it, they are literally patches. So one might be a patch of about roughly maybe about 100 bighas or 150 bighas. Then you'll see a total degradation and fallow land, or maybe some paddy happening here and there. So, just imagine the stress when they even try to take, shelter during the day, or try to take shelter from one forest patch to the other, which is their normal behavioral habit, in fact. So till date, because of this conflict in south of Bengal, we've seen about more than 403 human deaths, which is between 2014 and 19. And in past 1 year, we have been tracking about more than 10 elephant deaths, which, let me tell you, have all been deliberate killings. And most of the killings are through electrocution. So they kind of tap the wire and keep the wire on the paddy fields, and killings happen, in fact. So surprisingly, the other two very interesting, learnings which we had of this negative interaction is, firstly, I would like to mention hula, the practice of hula, which happens together with the locals, in fact. And the locals are employed to, it all started by driving elephants away from paddy lands or away from cultivable lands. Now it has taken worse shape, because now it is, throwing a fire on them, and it is a literally gruesome affair which goes on a regular basis, especially during the paddy season of September to starts from September to March, April, in fact. So hula, interestingly, is an elephant drive which is supported by the forest department. So and also like to mention that there is a Supreme Court case against it. In fact, Prerna Bindra put up that case, in fact. So other than that, interestingly, our learnings have been that there in 1980s, there have been large-scale JFMC eucalyptus plantation across, and not very sure why that happened, but it primarily maybe might have given a forest cover, but that has definitely degraded the soil to the worst extent, made water levels very scarce, in fact. And of course, monocropping is also one of the reasons. Pesticides are one of the reasons which has made even the cultivable small patches of land very low yielding, makes people in and around people always very stressed out, in fact, because of the low economic levels. And most of them are migrant laborers, in fact, or maybe, small time laborers here and there. And so whatever land they have, traditionally, it is like a war between them and the elephants. And and not to also mention, not to miss the point that there has been a large scale of biodiversity loss also due to the degradation and the fallowness that has happened across, in fact. Saying this, I would like to, just to make it more lively, I would like to show you a very interesting video, like on the aspects of, how we came about and why we came about, and what we are planning to do, in fact. It's a very short one. So I hope you all kind of like it. Yeah, so. So with this, I would like to welcome all of you again. We are a group of foresters, ecologists, environmentalists, of course, RM Foundation funders, then conservationists, and environmentalists, soil scientists, then farmers, local village women entrepreneurs, and also school children. Not to mention the school children. I gave us there was a small snap of that. In fact. And we would like all to welcome you to this huge, ambitious challenge which we have taken up to regenerate, rewild, and restore a very broken habitat, and also empathize with man as well as elephants, as well as the much of biodiversity loss in terms of the birds and insects and all the other biodiversity which has been lost, to revive that biodiversity, bring back a traditional reverence towards animals, towards their biodiversity, towards nature, which was always there, in fact, for them. And also do a bit of a landscape change, because land use change, I would say, because that's, as by now you might have understood, is one of the very big learnings, where we have come to know that has really is not even helping the economical growth of the people, despite elephant preying on it or eating out of it, but it's not even helping in terms of the interactions, in fact. So we would love to, our biggest aim and passion of work, or the key element to work, or what drives us, is to see the coexistent balance coming back, and a win-win situation where the economy is also revived, and they go back to the traditional system of loving and respecting their nature as well as the biodiversity around them. So saying that, the basic, I will outline some basic points of the solution, which is kind of an overall solution. We have been doing a year-long biodiversity and phenology study, in fact, and we have been taking reference of a very native forest called Sultan, which is nearby in Bankura district. And we are planning to do a significant regeneration of the forest patch and the native biodiversity. We also plan to have a good native fodder plant ecosystem for use of wild animals, just not elephants, but other wild animals also, which might reduce conflicts, because that's one of the problem areas which has been identified. We would like to also do a change in land use pattern from monocropping of paddy for years together to more cash crops, multi-cropping systems, which definitely are not elephant fodders. I'll give you a small example out here where we have successfully done. That is in area in Dhatula, which is near to the Susunia hillside. We have been successfully doing an agroforestry system where we have been helping the farmers, local farmers, grow fruit plants, forest plants, as well as mustard. They have been growing mustard very successfully in between, while the plants are growing, in fact. And we have had some elephant fencing also in those areas with lime, in fact, lemon lime trees, in fact, which is a very good elephant fencing, which is actually quite worked pretty well. That's one of our success case studies, as I might say, in fact, as I can claim, or we can claim. And all of this happens through stakeholder wants and needs study. We designed the initials of the program with the community itself. We do not, lease out or take any land from the community. It is just a participatory mode where we sit and tell them what we are planning to do, how they can join us. And this way, we would love to empower the local community to take care of their land, seek employments, regenerate the process, and also, create food banks through this process itself, in fact. So the next thing, of course, we are part of the 30 UN Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, and also address many of the SDGs of 1, 3, I think 16 partnerships, 14 life on land, 17, as well as climate action, critical biodiversity, regeneration, employment in terms of the plantation and the project that happens, skilling and unskilling local, skilling and upskilling local people in managing the forest areas, and also developed different livelihood opportunities through presently we are doing a village economy survey, in fact, which will give us an understanding and study of how livelihoods can be restored from the time from their old times, in fact. So these are certain things which we overall have planned for the project, basically. And saying that, I would request uh, Abhishek, who is my colleague in this project, to join me in talking about how, in the past 1 year, we have been able to really do what we plan to do, in fact. Over to you, Abhishek.
Yeah, thank you very much, Diyadi. Actually, for last 1 year, we have been doing this project. So, during our starting days, we didn't have much of land with us, and we didn't have any database, any project, any much of our teams who are actually working for us right now. So we started to think how to do this project, but we knew what to do, but how to do it was a very difficult, because working in South Bengal, it's very difficult because of this very small land holding capacity, or a very small land holding of every people. Like in average, means land holding is very small in West Bengal. So getting land was very difficult, and how to get the land. So we came up with an idea to go with some participatory mode. Like we won't own a single piece of land, but means from the farmers will take the land, will plant those trees and plants, and later on the whole project, the whole thing will be with them only. Only 30% of the means horticultural crop, like fruits of the mangoes, guavas and other trees who bear fruits, so 30% will be means with us. And we have decided that these 30% will be just for the nature. We won't pluck the fruits, we won't pluck any of the flowers or fruits whatever it's bearing, and we'll keep it with that only. We'll keep that way, so that means local frugivorous birds and animals and insects, they can they can go through it, and they can have it actually. So in initial days when we had to start a nursery, so we took a land on lease. Like it was about 17 acres of land, and out of which 6 acres of land we created nursery. The location of the nursery is near Rani Bandh in Bankura district. It was a forest area like 7 to 10 years back, but right now it's completely degraded, and most of the people, they just they just cultivate paddy over there, and in very small fragmented areas they cultivate paddy, and most of the land they are they are just degraded and eroded lands. So we took the land, we took around 6 acres of land for nursery. And for the nursery, main important thing was to get connection of electricity or anything by which we can give water to the plants. So means electricity in middle of the agricultural land was very difficult. And So we thought of getting some renewable source of energy like solar power. So right now we have a solar power submersible pump and two solar powered Tulu pump through which we water our plants. And we have solar power. We have solar powered electric, solar powered bulbs as well for lighting the means whole of our nursery for security purposes. And in many places, means in every places, I'll rather say that for recharging the groundwater and for giving water to the plants, we have created rainwater pits. So rainwater pits mostly by 15 feet by 10 feet and 6 feet to 8 feet in depth. We have created rainwater harvesting pits in our nursery, and for the plantation sites, we have done 4 feet by 6 feet and 4 feet in depth of rainwater harvesting. So the main reason of this creating this was means because we want the area, we want the groundwater of that area to get recharged after rainwater. So means we created that. And second means big reason for creating this was to water our plants. So right now we have in our nursery we have a stock of about means 50,000 of plants right now. And because the plantation season has already been finished this year, and because of very less rain this year, so plantation season has been very restricted this year. So but still we have planted a lot of area, almost 200 acres of land we have already planted. So means and seed beds have been created, and germination is being done there, germination. So I'll tell some plants what we have planted. I'll name some of them. So we have planted Madhuka indica, Mahua, then lemon, what Deardi already has mentioned. Lemon has been a very good means biofencing in our areas. It has been very useful. And mahogany, Swietenia macrophylla, Arjuna, Terminalia arjuna, bamboo, Bambusa balpua, Cassia javanica, Albizia procera, and Albizia libec. And mango, some hybrid varieties of mango, seedlings as well, guava, bear, jamun, and Dillenia indica, that is elephant apple, jackfruit, jarul, Legistromia speciosa, simul, Bombax siva, Dalbergia sisu, babla, that is Acacia nilotica, custard apple, Annona species, Emblica officinalis. There are many more, but I named some. And means so we are very happy to announce that till now only 10% of the plants have been means 10% of the plants, within 10% only it got means it was dead. And rest 90% of the plant is still surviving, and many plant has started giving new leaves as well. So it's a very good signal for us till now. And because it's very new for us to work on that those places, so we are still learning as well. And so means species selection and all we went through by our partnership team who has done biodiversity survey in those places. And we got to know, and we have done some soil tests as well, pH testing and all. So and after that we decided what to plant there and what not to plant there. And in terms of means what I'll say, employment and all, almost 60% of the workers, those who work in our place, are women. So that's why we are very happy to means announce that we are helping the society by upgrading the quality of means what I'll say, working culture of women as well. And so, Diyadi, can you please means start the video of our nursery?
Yes, Abhishek. So I'll just quickly show a video of our nursery being built up. So that might actually make it more exciting, in fact.
So this was the total area of our plantation. It got stuck somehow. We have only used
It's
eucalyptus
playing.
pillars.
So this you see nursery ready, I think about Abhishek about a year back, is it?
Yeah, yeah, almost about 6 to 7
Yes.
months back.
So
Yeah.
now the nursery is full of plants. Nursery has the solar.
I
So
think we
nursery
have a
looks
video,
totally
Diyadi.
different.
We have a video on that also.
Okay, yeah. So we'll play the video at the end. So I think Abhishek can continue talking. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why means it's very good to see that means we means what I'll say we have taken as fencing only eucalyptus plants here, eucalyptus pillars, because to reduce the means footprint of means carbon footprint, we have taken eucalyptus pillars for our fencing, because in cement pillars or anything like that, the carbon footprint is very high. So that's why we have taken eucalyptus pillars for our fencing, and barbed wires only in the area of our nursery place. We have not used anywhere barbed wires anywhere in our plantation sites. Only in our stocking area and nursery area we have used barbed wires. So in in plantation we have almost done 300 acres of plantation in mostly Bankura and Purulia region, and means almost in Ranibad it's about 72 bigas, like it is 24 acres. In Dhatola it's 51 bigas, like 17 acres. Gorchika it's 200 bigas, and in Chilimili it is 313, like in acres it's 105, and in Sutaboy it's 100 biga, like in Purulia it's 34 acres. So only means in these areas we have already planted, and many of the land is yet to be planted, and it's in our hand, and we have stopped plantation because of lack of rain. So that's why we'll start our plantation from next year, maybe from February or March. We'll start again our plantation, and we means for our plantation purposes, we have taken soil sample for soil pH and NPK test, and water. We have even tested the nearby streams, water of nearby streams, and as I have already mentioned that rainwater pits were created in every part of our plantation sites. And in terms of plantation, like I have already discussed that we have a team of botanists who help us with biodiversity survey, and even we have talked with the local people, or the stakeholders of our that what used to be here in 15 years or 20 years back, what predominant plant species used to be here. And we decided that okay, will means will rejuvenate this land with this type of plantations. Like what I have already said, I have mentioned the species we have selected. Like 99% of the plants are native to India and Indian subcontinents. So we are trying our best to make this place means good for ours and good for elephants and other means other animals as well in the area. So means only 10% of our plants means mortality is only 10%, and we are happy to say that. But still this winter season, which is mostly the dry spell of these areas, so it's still means what I'll say, it's still we are not sure what will be the total means percentage of death. But we are trying our best. We are giving water regularly, and this is the maintenance phase. And so we are trying our best so to do that. And with your blessing, I think we'll succeed in this project. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you,
Dia.
Abhishek. Yeah, so interestingly, Abhishek gave a kind of an overview of past 1 year, 1.5 years of designing and designing with the community, designing with the locals, then planning it out with the locals, and gaining traditional knowledge, gaining scientific knowledge, gaining doing biological phenology and botany studies, everything in possible, in fact. So we have factored in all possible solutions for this very interesting, ambitious project. Now, what we would love to share is our learnings. You know, it's been a very interesting learning period. And let me tell you, not to sound very artificial and very hunky dory, like any good Hindi movie will always have a decent, beautiful ending, saying that everything went off well and all ends well. But we also have some hard learnings to share with you all, in fact. So, uh, life is always more easy by sharing the good ones first. So I'll share some points. Abhishek will also pitch in. Abhishek, please pitch in with your good points also. So I will very interesting things which I as a person and we as a team have learned that very contrary to popular belief, locals and community are still very eager to build a very good healthy ecosystem. And very interesting, they might not be knowing about climate action, they might not be knowing of COP or Paris Agreement, but they're very keenly observing, or they're very keenly following a pattern of change in climate, in fact. So they will tell you that how dry it was dry, it has become more dry. It is heat is unbearable in today's world, and they will actually tell you what we are not very sure what will happen for our kids. Then water levels, they will talk about the water levels, in fact. And interestingly, if you just keep hearing from them rather than pitching, in fact, or talking about big fundas of an urban mind, if you just keep your mind open and hear them, you see that they will actually tell you that this is because of the deforestation that has happened, the degradation that has happened, the land has become uncultivable, then forests are gone. They will even tell you about the elephantine problem, saying that it is not the fault of the elephants. They do not have anything to eat in the forest. So that's why they come and, raid our crops. And but what can we do? We only have this much only. So we don't have the power to share at this point, in fact. So they literally empathize, they literally, cry out for help in terms of restoring and reviving the ecosystem. And you won't believe it, everywhere we have gone, we have been so warmly welcomed, because we were a bit wary about it, as Abhishek also mentioned. But wherever we have gone, they have all come. They are eager to participate. They are eager to, give their lands and work with us together and design with us, implement with us, which is happening. And this is all from ground level talks, and this is all from our learnings at the ground level. So it's not something which I am sitting in a AC room and office and talking about it. In fact, and very interestingly, elephants are, of course, still very revered gods. And as I said, they will actually come and tell you that they don't have anything to eat. So what does the god do, in fact? So, and I would love to mention one, Abhishek, sorry, I'll steal few moments from you on this. That is, which actually makes me very hopeful about this and about this challenge taken up by all of us. That is, every time we have gone to a place where we have identified the corridor areas and places which are degraded and needs revival, we have seen that out of the lot which come and meet you, and in our all our stakeholder meetings, one or two definitely come out as identified nature lovers, conservationists themselves in their own rights. In fact, they might not be having big degrees, but they're amazing when it comes to traditional local knowledge of biodiversity, of the plants around, what needs to be done, what was there before, in fact. So you will definitely find one or two of them in every other area, in fact, popular to very many, very contrary to popular beliefs, which we believe as urbanites, in fact. And interestingly, what we have done is, I think one of the, I can up my collar on this. That is, we have identified such people in every other plant areas of our sites, and we have employed them, and we have made them community leaders to lead these in their own community. So this is one of the ways of empowering them by their own local people, so that we do not, as from high up out there, go and talk or give them gyan, as we always actually as Indians keep doing it. In fact, they themselves spread the word, they themselves do the work, they themselves empower and recruit their own people and make them understand, in fact. So our work has become much easier now. Our work has become much relaxed, and we are at this point, I can say that I'm relaxed, and I sit back and watch the whole game being played in such a healthy atmosphere. So, Abhishek, you would like to talk a
Yeah,
bit about
I
your,
would like to add
yeah,
a
please.
single example in this prospect. So actually, a few days back, one of our working area had a problem of palm civet. So one of the people from them, who is our employee and he's our means ground strength, he used to be a nature lover, but means before our project came in there, he couldn't do anything. Means he wanted to what I'll say, in some villages, when there is any snake problem or any problem from any wild animal, he couldn't convince people. He couldn't convince the local people to it's okay, leave it aside, or it's okay, means I'll take the snake out and I'll go and I'll rewild it. He couldn't do that. But a few days back, when there was a problem of palm civet, who got into a home and he ate some of the chicken babies, actually. So one of that person, one from the lot, who is our employee as well, he called our project head, that brother, this type of incident and has occurred. You please come in here. Actually, I am unable to convince them not to kill it, but I have somehow I have just kept it aside with with a wire tied on its leg. So please come in, otherwise they will kill that. So our project head, he rushed to the spot, and luckily they means got some first aid, like some Dettol wash in those places where it got wound. So, and later on, we could rewild that means that palm civet to the wild jungle again. And same thing happened a few days back, means about a month back, with a snake. When a snake came into a house, some of that person called or projected that this type of snake has come in, and it was also rescued, and it was rewild. Mean it was again means took it, and means it was again means got into the jungle anyhow.
Yeah, that's a great example, Abhishek,
Yeah.
which you make. In fact, as I was talking about the behavioral change that we can see slowly happening and steeping in with the participation and the community initiatives that we do together. In fact, we have a lot of livelihood. We have started few livelihood projects also in terms of creating vermicompost pits, etc., for the locals. Where there's a buyback system, and so these things are happening. But interestingly, since you mentioned the palm civet, I would like to also add to it that let me also set you that the local tribals out there are in the habit of doing hunting, in fact. So they are local small level hunters, in fact. So all of these biodiversity animals used to be hunted in at one point. So for us it's a small win, but it's a very big win, for a big win in terms of a behavioral culture where people are actually rising up to the occasion and wanting and thinking of saving, in fact, the biodiversity around. So that might be maybe a small feather in the cap, but I have to say there's a long, long way to go. It is just the beginning, in fact, and of course there are few hard learnings also. Like we have a few pockets of villagers who did not take the plantations too well, and they have actually gone ahead and uprooted few of the plants. And then we found out a mitigation by talking to the local and villagers, talking to them and finding out that how do we, balance this out. And that we have found out that maybe the forest plants need to have more beneficial,
Medicinal
link to
values.
biodiversity, local ecological link to biodiversity in to livelihoods, in fact, village livelihoods. And I think Abhishek has already mentioned that this year we had a 44% less deficit rainfall. So we felt the brunt in terms of our maintaining the plantation. But surprisingly, Abhishek, you want to talk a bit about the rainfall scenario where we actually faced a bit of a challenge, in fact?
Yeah, in some places actually we had got a huge amount of means problem because of this water deficit. So that's why in some places actually we have come through a product called Eversort. So that's actually I'll discuss about that. So the product is a water retainer, and when incorporated with the soil, it absorbs and retains large quantity of water and nutrients, and nutrients post irrigation. It is a cross-linked copolymer of acrylamide and potassium acrylate. When water meets one of these chains, it is drawn into the molecule by osmosis. Water rapidly mitigates into the interior of the network where it is stored for release to the plant roots on demand. So it's basically it's a powder-like substance. When it's means when it's poured into the hole of means plantation pits actually. So it when it comes in contact with water, it swells, it fails, and it means it absorbs water by osmosis, and later on when requirement it slowly releases water. So it has been very useful for us ever so of this product, and maybe because of that and our hard work, that only 10% of the plants have died till now, and almost 90% or more than that in some places. And it's very good to see the plantation. And I'll request all of the participants who are here, if you have some time to visit in Kolkata or any such places, you please contact us. You can visit our places. You can visit our plantation sites and suggestions. You can suggest us with some ideas so that we can improve our plantations and we can improve our work. So that's it.
Thanks, Abhishek. So now, like Abhishek said, we'll give a quick short video of our memories of the past 1 year, in fact. So saying that, I would like to especially thank our team, which, as you can see, we have 20% only of educated people like Abhishek and Natin. All the others are locals and local farmers. And as I said, natural nature enthusiasts from their villages who have all eagerly joined us and are participating, in fact. And very interestingly, I would also like to mention more because Divya and Marisha both actually requested me to mention this. That is our exit policy. Everything should have their exit policy because we are here to stay this much in their village. We have to keep scaling it up, and that this is a very futuristic project. It itself is 5 to 10 years of project of livelihood as well as rewilding as well as restoration of more than 1,600 to 2,000 acres. That is our first phase of goal, in fact. So our basic exit policy is a very simple one. Like after about a year of intensive working with the team, I have now come to a mentorship role where I do not interact on a regular minute scale. In fact, while now the team heads like Abhishek, Otin have taken over, while together with the local farmers, in fact, as you see in the picture, and in about the next year or so, we will try to empower them in such a way that they will carry on the project even if we are not around, in fact. So that is our plan. That is our exit policy, where we slowly we empower them to take over and maintain what has been started as a starter kit and grow also the whole project, in fact. So till now it looks very good. In fact, in 2 3 areas we've already done the exit, and they are continuously maintaining the whole project. In fact, they're taking it ahead. They're talking to the others, and those are others are also joining them. So till now, about 2 or 3 places we've already been successful. but the other places are too nascent and too, just too early, in fact, in that stage to do it. So saying that, I think we have been talking a lot and we would love to hear from the others. So anyone would like to say anything, please unmute yourselves and we can discuss. We would love to hear from others, what others have to say. And
I have put my doubts in the chat box, so I'm in the middle of travel, so cannot speak. Like
sorry, may I know your name?
Aditya Virgaonkar.
Sorry,
Aditya Virgaonkar.
Aditya. So you said how to contact me. Okay, I think we have the email ID. So maybe I'll just write down the email
To
ID.
contact you, and is there any chance for us that we can work with you?
Okay, that will be wonderful, Aditya. If anyone wants to join, everyone is welcome, because South Bengal is a very interesting landscape, and I can definitely say very few have worked, in fact, in South Bengal. So this much I can definitely say, in fact. Yeah, so please get in touch with us. It is Uttarayan, and so it's a Gmail account. Please contact us. Anyone else? Anyone
Hello.
else would like to say anything?
Yes. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, hi. Who's this, please?
I'm Naveen speaking
Okay, hi, Naveen.
from Bangalore. Yeah. So, first of all, I have to thank all of you for sharing your experience. I think that's very important, and a lot of learnings for everybody working all over India. So, thanks for that, and also for all the efforts that you've been putting in.
Yeah, it's just a start, as I said, it's a long way to go.
Sure. So,
Thank
my
you.
question is with respect to the restoration, right? I think Abhishek listed certain trees that are selected and that have been planted.
Right.
For example, I think bamboo was mentioned, and also jackfruit and mango, right? So was this considered that these trees going into the future might act as attraction to the elephants? Because what we generally study in whatever, I have experience of monitoring a corridor close to Bandipur, and what we have seen, it's an elephant corridor, and learnings from that is, apart from the crops that are actually grown, right, there are certain other reasons why elephants may come out of the forest. We call it attraction, and we do attraction mapping of other reasons apart from crops, right, that elephants actually come. So what data that we have is, for example, mango plantations, for example, coconut plantations, for example, tamarind trees, for
Right.
example, even bamboo for that matter, right? So
Right.
all very strongly liked by elephants, right?
Right.
And especially during times when, say, it's not a main cropping season, say during dry season or during other
Right.
times. So elephants come here specifically to feed on these kinds of trees and plants, right? So, and what happens is then they, throughout the year, they kind of localize there itself, because during the season, when whatever farmers cultivate, something is available for them, and also during the off season or other time also there is something available to them, right? So so in our landscape, or our study has shown that that might also be a problem. So the trees that what we call as attractions. So in the long term, this might actually affect the people living there. So any kind of was this considered, or any ideas you have regarding this?
Yes, yes. So interestingly, I will give a small notion from my side. Abhishek can take it forward. So interestingly, sorry, your name, please. Naveen, right?
Naveen, yeah.
Yeah, hi, Naveen. Thanks for sharing your learnings from your field. And very interestingly, as I started with my presentation, the whole identification of the problem area was the fodder, was of course the forest, the degradation of the forest cover, in fact, and the migration has been happening for long. And it's not that most of the population migrate back to Dalma, but there are resident elephants also, which your perception might be true that with the restoration, the residents, number of residents might go up, in fact. But frankly, here we are looking at both the elephants and the humans, right? So, and we usually strategically select crops in strategic areas where there are, first of all, very less conflict plants. Like he's talked about lemon, right? So very less conflict plants, but the cash crops are also non-conflict crops like mustard and all, because there is an agroforestry mode, because we have to take care of the elephants and the biodiversity as well as the humans. So we try to take a plantation decision as per the strategic area and the conflict scenarios around that area. Like in these areas where we are working now is of less presence of elephants, in fact. Right.
Yep.
And the corridors are less used, and these are less presence. And you're right when you say that it might attract the elephants, in fact. But what do you do if I mean, there is no right or wrong answer to this, I think, Naveen, because firstly, you're working for reducing conflicts and making the elephants, use their traditional routes. Nor, as you know, they have now gone from here to Maharashtra, and nor you, totally, you cannot, of course, totally wipe out the population. In fact, the population is about 140 to 150, roughly, sometimes varies till 190. So at this point, what we are seeing is long-term solution of the restoration. And we are going to also seep in and do a parallel project in terms of conflict mitigation, where we are going to work with organizations like WTI and also NCF, Colin, Anand, in terms of the conflict mitigation that can happen. Maybe some strategic fencing, some strategic plantations, some strategic way of avoiding conflicts. So we that is also part of our design of the project, in fact.
Yeah, great. Because the only reason is, I can state one example, like about 10, 15, 20 years before, no, Forest Department had a program where I work. And so they distribute teak trees, right? Teak samplings to the people, right?
Right.
Farmers. And so they use those plantations and plant it on the bunch of their farmland, right? And
Sure.
now we see elephants just coming just to those trees. For example, they grow garlic. So elephants don't eat garlic. So they don't actually come to the specifically to eat garlic, but in order to reach those teak trees, they destroy the whole area, just to gain access to the teak. And of course, the forest department with good intentions had given. So I totally agree. There is no like what is right or wrong, or there's no fixed
There is
solution.
no, I think this is like a catch-22 situation, Naveen, what you are working on, what we are working on, because you don't know whether you're working for the elephants or the humans. End of the day, it is very murky areas, right? So, so Naveen, since you mentioned, can you get in touch with us? We would love to talk more about your attraction mapping.
Sure. I'll get in touch with you.
That will be really nice. In fact, it will be really nice to exchange notes. Yeah.
Sure.
Anyone else? This.
Amrita has a question.
Yes.
Amrita, do you want to unmute yourself and put it directly to Diana Abhishek?
Amrita.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Amrita.
Yeah, so I was wondering if there has been any documentation of the extent of, crop depredation by elephants, or, loss to property, life.
Yes, there are papers by in South Bengal itself by SACON, and Forest Department has some documentations also. What we have documentations we have documented are the biodiversity loss, and also the the degradation in terms of our drone images and drone picturizations.
All right.
Yeah. Anything else? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. No, anything
Thanks.
left, we can definitely take in. I mean, it's not that we are experts. We are all learning. And I'm sure this learning, as Naveen rightly said, there is no right or wrong to it, in fact.
Right. No, I was just like I had mentioned in the chat as well that, I'm sure there is documentation of it, but not exactly put together in the area you exactly might be working in. But that could
We
be
are
an
documenting,
useful,
Amrita. We will take about another year to finish our documentation. It will be a publishable document, in fact.
right.
So once that's published, definitely Rain Matter and everyone will be able to share, in fact.
Right, because later on at whatever time period this whole endeavor takes, it would be an useful information in order to
Of
evaluate.
course, of course, of course, of course. I totally agree to it. And very frankly, see, as I said, we have a very good exit policy, and we would love to share everything and anything which comes across to us, in fact, because end of the day, it's not just our responsibility to do what we are doing, right? It's everyone's responsibility together. It's a collective responsibility, in fact. So yeah, we would definitely share. In fact, we are documenting, as I said, we are just not documenting, we are also uh, documenting everything: phenology study, documenting biodiversity, documenting stakeholder meetings, everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Amrita. Yes, Ria, you're a forest management graduate. Oh, you're from Bhopal. Okay. Thank you very much, Ria. Any questions? Anyone has any questions?
Hi, this is Uma here.
Hey, Uma.
Hi.
Hi.
I had a question. If I was wondering if any studies have been done which look at the diet of elephants that are in areas which are not very degraded, which are still dependent on forests for their food, and elephants that are from degraded areas, and therefore they tend to a large part of their diet or a significant part of their diet is human grown crops, and also maybe going ahead, if the diet of elephants in restored areas could be studied. Again, I'm asking this based on, I don't work in elephant areas, but I have friends who do. And this is based on anecdotal observations in the Bandipur area that Naveen was talking about, where there's an NGO called Junglescapes that has been working on eco-restoration in
I know Anand very well.
Sorry?
You're talking about Anand, right?
Yes, Anand and Ramesh.
Yeah. Anand, I know Anand very well.
Yes, so they have noticed that in areas which they have restored, in those areas, the crop raiding has reduced. This is anecdotal. It's based on feedback from the villages in those areas, and also so the thing is, while anecdotal evidence has, or anecdotal feedback has some value, everyone wants scientific studies. So one way to get evidence would be to actually look at the diet of elephants by examining their poop, etc. So that's something that ideally wildlife biology students should take up. But I was just wondering, in your area, are you thinking of, have been any such studies, or are you thinking of?
So Uma, as you know, let me answer your question part by part. Firstly, there is a very good research paper on diet of elephants in especially populations which have a good forest areas. So from North Bengal itself, and Priyanka is one of the researchers from SACON who has done it. So you can go through Priyanka's research on the dietary needs and the dietary pattern of elephants from North Bengal, which is largely a very good forest covered area. Now coming to a dried, degraded landscapes where we are working, I at this point cannot there is a SACON report loosely based on it, but not a very extensive research on the diet part of it. It is mostly on the conflict part of it, in fact. And definitely, I cannot tell you that we have any research done yet, because we're just at the start, at the initial stage of the project. And for us to really get into the real restoration, restored area and landscape will take about 5 to 6 years. Then only we can start the next level of seeing the impact of it in terms of conflict, reducing conflict, human economic impact, as well as the dietary impact of elephants, in fact. But my understanding, as far as South Bengal goes, since this population is a joint or a shared population between Jharkhand, Orissa, and Bengal, in fact, south of Bengal, and the population migrates every year. It cannot be only for crops, right? Because as I told you, here the crops are very low yielding, and crop areas and land areas are very less. So there are certain patches of land which they use for forest cover as well as fodders, like the reference forest which we are kind of studying as part of our reference mapping for the plantation, which is Sutan, in fact. So there is a very good fodder mechanism. There is a very good forest cover in certain patches in South Bengal, which they are still using, and they are still coming. And the population is also growing. So these are indications that the diet might not be the same as very large forest covered areas like North Bengal, or maybe South India, of course. But definitely there is a good amount of balance between fodder and, of course, the crop rates, which they of course come, as you know, they come for crops because they are opportunistic feeders. Even if you give them a lot of fodders and you tell them to sit down and eat it, they will definitely go for crops, because crops give them very high level of carbohydrate in very less time with very less effort. So they're extremely intelligent animals, and they've understood that very well, in fact. So that conflict, it's not that in a very, very populated, human populated country like ours will ever be resolved. It will always be there, but we just have to find out a balance between restoring their habitat, like Anand mentioned the anecdote, and together with certain conflict management, short-term mitigations to keep them as much as possible from crop raiding. I'm not sure whether that answers your question, but that was my try.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, I could completely see your point. And so basically, your observation has been that elephants are like tigers who've tasted human blood. That is, if they have tasted crops, then they prefer that to.
They are very intelligent. You won't believe it how much I have seen in my front of my eyes, where they find out new ways of even fooling people to raid crops, silently eat away, even take the potato out of it. Even and I'm telling about areas of elephants where in North Bengal, where the forest cover and forest fodder is pretty high.
Oh, okay. They even in North Bengal they raid crops.
Oh yeah, of course, wherever
Yeah,
possible.
everywhere.
Everywhere. They would love to, they're opportunistic feeders. That's it. Because in very less time, they have such high carb, carb rich food, which is very with less effort, right?
Right. Could that be one of
Yeah.
the reasons why their numbers are growing? You said the population is increasing.
So that's also very catch-22 situation. They have adapted so well. Population is still increasing with all the anthropogenic pressures, with all the stress levels. I showed you some videos, which is like very upbeat stress levels, right? Fire being thrown at them, etc. But the population is, it's not that the population is dwindling.
Yeah. So my question was that, because they are eating this very high calorie human.
I would not answer that. I'm sorry, Uma, because I think elephant biologists will be the right people to answer that. And out here, none of us are elephant biologists. We will have consultants very soon. to join our team. But at this point, I would not actually go ahead and answer that. I'm sorry.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dia.
Welcome, Uma. Someone else was talking. I think Manisha, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering if Naveen wanted to respond to some of what Uma was saying,
Yes,
based
Naveen,
on the
please.
Bandipur landscape.
No, see, for me, I can just make a generic point that, I mean, I can compare human beings, right? So if given a choice, people prefer eating junk food, sugar-based food,
Right.
than
You are
eating
right. You are right.
healthy food, right? So, I mean, animals are the same. So, I mean, of course, elephants will prefer sugarcane or mangoes or jackfruits than something that is available inside the forest. And I think to Uma's point that it's not that elephants living in forests where they have food, they don't raid crops. I mean, Bandipur is a great example where even when there is enough food available in the forest, I mean, it's just humans preferring junk. I mean, that's it. And
Yeah,
once
they
they
will
make
get
the
crops
pace-
even in not big cities.
yeah, it's seen everywhere. I mean,
It's everywhere.
yeah, I think once they're exposed to such kind of environment of these grain based and sugar based carb based food, I think it becomes an addiction. So.
In fact, Naveen, just to take ahead your discussion, your point, I think what we have found is, in at least our area, we can safely say that crops have not been very high yielding, viably economic, economic points for the farmers even. Okay. And most of the time we have seen that the old generation still believe that paddy should be grown because it is part of the family system, etc. It is now more of a custom than really the economic part of it. So I remember a person coming and telling me that you won't believe it, every year, ma'am, I lose 28,000 to grow paddy because my father wants it, but we do not get anything out of it, in fact. So I think the land use change might be one of the key aspects of handling this, but I would not confidently comment on it, because these are all again learnings from different different systems which everyone in India is trying out to coexist with a megafauna like elephant, and even the elephants are finding out coexisting ways with humans. In fact, I always get very proud of telling the whole world that with a 1.4 billion population, we still have elephants in our country.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's somewhere there, Navi, I'm sure you will also agree that somewhere there is still an amazing respect for each other.
No, that is true. Otherwise, I don't think, like how you said, many of the animals would have been wiped out.
Yeah.
And also, like, just to add briefly, based on our experience, it's like the area that we work, before, the almost 100% of the land was irrigated before. Okay, there were no patches of land in between where, like how you're saying, agriculture is not viable, or the current generation is not as hardworking, or they've not learned the tricks from the previous generation. They're not, they haven't got that knack for that agriculture, whatever might be the reason. What we have seen in our landscape is, like, before, I've spoken to people with, whose age is 80 years, 90 years, who are still living, how the scenario was, maybe 50 years before.
Right.
So everybody used to grow. Every patch of land was irrigated. And even elephants used to come that time, if they were much more, people say healthy and all that. But they used to just come to the fringes, because everybody used to cultivate, right? And there was a community-based way of fending the elephants away, because since everybody used to grow, so finally the elephants used to just come towards the border, that is after the forest, immediately after the forest, when the agriculture land starts. They were the only ones who were a little bit affected, and still the community way of driving the elephants were so strong, because now the problem is the other family members are not there. So in the night, when somebody has to guard their farms from elephants, it's just one old man trying to fend off the elephants.
Yeah,
And
very true.
And left of his land, nobody is cultivating. Right of his land, nobody is cultivating. Elephants can come from anywhere, right? He has no support. So these are the problems. I mean, these are some of the reasons why now agriculture is not viable. And of course, depending on different places, water availability and all that. So, but it's not that the elephants were not there before, at least in our landscape, but there were different other ways of how people used to handle it based on, community methods, right? Because just imagine 15 people driving an elephant away and just one person trying to, fend an elephant away. It makes a lot of.
So as I mentioned, and you must have seen in the video, we have a very bad practice of the thing called hula, which has made things very, very worse, just not for the elephants, for people too, because more stress on the elephants. In fact, very interestingly, there has been a scientific study where, and we have seen it ourselves, because I've worked in North Bengal as well as South Bengal. And this elephants in North Bengal is much more docile than the ones in South Bengal. And I don't need to do any scientific research to prove that.
Yeah.
Your elephants are much more stressed and much more aggressive. They will actually come and kill you if they want.
True.
So only because it's by generations, they have been badly stressed out. And you've seen how the methods are, right?
No, absolutely.
Wrong methods that have been employed in terms of mitigations. And not much work has been done in terms of community understanding and community traditional values, in fact, which should have been taken into account. I'll tell you a very interesting anecdote. Manisha, do we have some time? Because it's a very interesting anecdote, in fact. So
Sure. I mean, we can always do anecdotes, but I was wondering, it's almost
very interesting
5:30. So yeah,
Manisha.
after the anecdote, maybe we can do a wrap.
Yeah. So
All right, thanks.
Naveen, I don't know whether I'm sure you might have come across. So when I was working in North Bengal in conflict management with WWF, so when I used to visit the villages, so what I always used to do is I never used to group up with the forest department or the conservationist or the biologist. I should always separate myself and just move around the village and talk to people. That's when you hear the real stories, right? So
Absolutely.
one of the elderly guys came and told me that, do you know, and very confidently, right? Do you know why this happens? Because in our times and in our father's times, the first crop and the first haria, which is the local, local alcohol, which is made with rice, was gifted to the god. God means elephant god, at the fringes of the village every year.
Yeah.
And now this, and he was actually, very pissed off with the young generation. They're saying they don't have any patience, they don't have any religious, religious thoughts, they don't revere the gods, in fact, and that's why so much of destruction is happening, because they don't want to share.
True.
So that was very interesting. That maybe that was one of the reasons that elephants have got used to it, right? It might be one of the reasons.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's from me. And is there anyone else? Yeah, Manisha is now.
Time check.
Okay, time check. Anyone else?
If there are any questions,
any
you can reach out
questions?
to Dia and to Abhishek at the Uttarayan team. Their email addresses have been added to the chat. Thank you,
Any
Abhishek.
question or
Thank
any
you.
suggestion about our work?
Yeah.
Please visit, as Abhishek rightly said. All of you are welcome to see. It is a very big challenge, and please pray that this happens, because as you saw in the videos, it's a very critical situation, in fact.
So thanks, Dia. Thanks, Abhishek, for making the
much.
time and putting through this lovely presentation and doing this talk. And I want to thank everyone who's made time on a Saturday afternoon, evening, siesta time to be online and to be present with us. If there are any suggestions, or if you'd like to know more about Uttarayan's work or In Matter's work, you have our email addresses already. So please write into us, and we'll keep you posted about our next conversations. Thank you so much.
I will just paste our email website address.
You can put your website, yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Manisha, for giving us this platform and opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very
share
much,
our work.
Manisha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thanks,
Thank you
Naveen.
very much, everyone, for joining.
We
Thanks,
will-
everyone.
Yeah, it means a lot. It means a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's mutual, right? We understand how things.
Yeah.
And please
Yeah.
all of you wish that this project goes from 5 to 10 years to 20 years, and we actually cover the whole corridor across to MP, Maharashtra, where they are running about helter-skelter.
Sure, it'll definitely be a success. All the best.
Thank you so much. Take
Thank you.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
We will, bye.